Hello and welcome everyone to another biology class of Fun Scholar. So today we will be discussing about the last part of the chapter reproduction in animals from CBSE boards standard 8. We had discussed till the topic of metamorphosis in our last lecture, that is lecture 2, and in this lecture we will be discussing mainly about asexual modes of reproduction in animals. Till the last lecture, we have actually focused on the reproductive systems of human beings like male and female reproductive systems. We have understood their structures separately and we have got a brief idea how they function. Now, in today's lecture, we will know about asexual modes of reproduction carried out by other animals or lower animals, we can say. Now, why they carry out sexual modes of reproduction? Why sexual modes of reproduction is only possible in case of higher animals, that also will come to know in this lecture. So, after discussing the last part of the chapter, we will be wrapping up with this lecture. Now, let's begin our today's discussion with asexual modes of reproduction. Now, before going into asexual modes of reproduction, we first need to know the basic difference of sexual and asexual. Though in the lecture 1 we have already dealt or we have got the basic idea that what is the difference. The primary difference being that in case of asexual reproduction, there is no case of gamete formation and gamete fusion. Whereas in case of sexual reproduction, gametes are produced from organisms of opposite sex and they fuse together to form the zygote. And since gametes are produced from two different sexes, so therefore in case of sexual reproduction, we say that two parents are involved. Whereas in case of asexual reproduction, only one parent can give rise to the offspring of the new generation. And in case of sexual reproduction, as I said before beginning this discussion, that highly complex and well organized reproductive system is required so that gamete formation is efficiently done, as well as after the fusion of the gametes, then the zygote which is formed can be properly nourished till maturity to form the full grown fetus within the female body. So until and unless the organism system is well adapted to suit this process, so then sexual reproduction is not possible. I said asexual reproduction is majorly observed in lower animals because they have very simple type of body organization. And we will know in today's discussion that how they give rise to the new individuals. Then you will come to know that why the process is quite simpler as compared to sexual reproduction in case of higher animals. So in the beginning only we have got a video to watch regarding asexual reproduction in animals. So asexual means without involving two sexes, only one parent is enough to give rise to new organisms and there no gamete formation is required. And in case of asexual reproduction, another thing I need to mention before watching this video, we do not get any variation. This thing should be kept in mind in any method of asexual reproduction. We have no genetic variation. The reason being the same genetic material without being crossed over with another genetic material is passed on to the subsequent progenies. So the same, actually in this case only, that in case of asexual reproduction we get to see clones. Clones means exact copies. Exact copies, carbon copy you can say, right? Because there is no genetic variation, so the genetic makeup, the traits of the parents is exactly aligned with the traits of the offsprings, because the same trait is actually it is replicated, the genetic material is replicated and then it is passed on to the offspring while new cells are produced. So there is no genetic variation. But what happens in case of sexual reproduction? There the genetic makeup, there it is a mixed, means the parents genes are getting mixed with one another. Now there are, now which gene will express, will be the will it be the mixture? No, it will be the dominant one. The dominant gene always expresses or gets manifested over the recessive gene. So, out of the two genes from both the parents, the one which is dominant will be expressed in the offspring of the child in the next generation. But other gene will be present in the cell of the body, but in the dormant state. And it will express itself only when it will get its pair with the another partner. If it gets its pair with another partner, just a moment, then only it will get expressed, otherwise not. So this is about asexual and sexual modes of reproduction and the difference, but now we will mainly focus on asexual mode of reproduction. So first let's watch this video and then we'll discuss furthermore.
The previous video gave us an introduction to the concept of reproduction. We also got into the types of reproduction. And what were these types? Yes, the asexual reproduction and the sexual mode of reproduction. In this video, we will learn about asexual reproduction. And this will be done by studying its two major types and examples. Wait a second. Did I just say types of asexual reproduction? Yes, there are several ways in which unicellular organisms make copies of themselves. For that, you may need a specialized body structure in order to reproduce. As a matter of fact, yes, we do. But what about the organisms like the amoeba? They do not have specialized organs for reproduction. How do they reproduce and multiply? The answer is quite simple. They use the method of binary fission. The term binary comes from the word bi, which means two, and fission means dividing. Amoeba's body splits into two parts and forms two new cells. Let us see how this actually takes place. The nucleus in the amoeba contains the chromosomes of the organism. The DNA in the chromosomes replicates and forms another set of similar chromosomes. Once this is done, they are pushed to the two extremes of the cell. And at the same time, the cell grows and expands. What do you think will happen next? The plasma membrane of the cell develops a constriction and begins to grow inward. This process is called as a cytokinesis. Once this process is complete, the cell separates and forms two new cells. These are called as the daughter cells and involved in reproduction. We call such a reproduction as asexual mode of reproduction. Which other methods do you think would be only one parent to reproduce? Budding. That's right. Budding is another method which requires just one parent to form new organisms. For example, Hydra uses budding to reproduce. What exactly happens in this process of asexual reproduction? This is the body of a Hydra. Can you spot a small outgrowth on the body of the Hydra? Yes, right here. There's a small outgrowth here. This outgrowth is formed due to the repeated cell division at this particular site. What do we call such an outgrowth? We call it as a bud, and as days pass by, the bud will further grow outward. It will take all the nutrition it needs from the parent hydra to grow and develop. After some days, the bud will resemble a tiny hydra with an elongated body and tentacles. What happens once the new hydra is formed? Once the baby hydra is completely formed, it will pinch off from the parent hydra and will now lead an independent existence. This process is called as budding, where organisms develop from a bud on the parent body into a completely new organism. However, the organism cannot separate from the parent body until it is completely formed and it depends on the parent for nutrition. If in any case the bud detaches from the parent before it's completely formed, the organism will not survive. Well, this was a brief explanation about the two major types of asexual reproduction. The latter that helps lower unicellular organisms divide and increase their count. Now let us talk about the next type of reproduction, that is sexual reproduction, in the upcoming video.
So you have watched in this video, they have mainly talked about two modes of asexual reproduction, and those are budding and binary fission. Apart from that also, we have got multiple fission, then fragmentation. So those are also the methods of asexual reproduction in animals. We'll know about each one of them one by one. So, asexual reproduction in animals talks about the smaller animals, or I can say the lower organisms, with simple body organization with no such complexity, maybe the unicellular ones like this Hydra, Amoeba, yeast, and Paramecium, who undergoes asexual reproduction with no involvement of two parents, or I can say with no involvement of gametes. Budding, you have already watched in the video that a small simple bud is formed on the body of the parent organism. Then it develops tentacles just like the parent organism, and finally it matures enough so that it can get established on its own and can draw its nutrients from the environment. It is at this stage that it will get separated out from the parent organism. Now, at first they look like a tiny bulge on the surface of the body. So those are called buds. So, and hence from this structure only the process has come to be known as budding. Then we have got a simulation of budding to watch. This here also you can see that a small outgrowth, when the outgrowth enlarges, it develops tentacles, and obviously then it will detach from the parent body to establish independently in the environment. This is the new hydra. Now, apart from Hydra, yeast, which is the unicellular fungus, microscopic unicellular fungus, also reproduces with the same method called budding. And we watch the simulation regarding reproduction in yeast by the process of budding. Now here, one thing you will note which is unique, that in case of Hydra, only a single bird was seen. But here in case of yeast, you can see a chain of cells. You can observe over here. So not only a single bulge or a single bird, but a chain of birds grows from the parent organism. And they, all of them together forming a chain, they will remain attached to the parent organism until and unless they are mature enough to obtain their own nutrition. And when they are mature enough, they will detach themselves from the parent organism and develop independently. So we can see budding in case of Hydra and in case of yeast among the unicellular lower level organisms. Then we have got binary fission. This one also you have watched in the video, that first there will be a single organism, the parent organism, which is going to divide. Then first the nucleus will divide into two. So this process is known as karyokinesis, because karyon means the nucleus. Right. So karyon means nucleus. So the division of the nucleus is termed as karyokinesis, and then a groove will form from outward to inward. So this groove is formed, which actually helps in the process called cytokinesis. Cytokinesis is the division of the cytoplasm. So always remember, karyokinesis is followed by cytokinesis. K is followed by C and not the vice versa. And finally, the two daughter cells will divide and they will give rise to the two offsprings. So both of them are two daughter amoebae. So from one organism, it has split into two daughter organisms. So therefore, the name is binary fission. Binary means two, and fission means splitting or division. Again, we'll watch the simulation of binary fission in amoeba. This is a large single parent amoeba. First, the nucleus will divide. So here, see the nucleus divided into two, that is karyokinesis. Then step 3, in the cytoplasmic division, that is cytokinesis by formation of the group. And lastly, this formation of two separate daughter amoebae. So these are the simple steps through which amoeba reproduces by binary fission. Now we have understood about these two processes. Next on our list we have got fragmentation and regeneration. Now before watching this video, let me give you a basic idea. Sometimes we get confused about these two terms and we think that we can use any one of them interchangeably. But it is not the truth, because there is difference between the two terms. That is why the two terms have been mentioned separately. Fragmentation. Fragmentation means when a body is separated, a whole body is separated into pieces, fragments. That is fragmentation. And each fragment or each piece of the body then again regrows into a separate individual. So that is fragmentation. On the other hand, what is regeneration? Regeneration means when a part of the body is cut out or lost, just like the tail of lizard. So then particularly that part will grow back to form the lost part. But it will not give rise to an entire organism as a whole. So therefore, we cannot count regeneration under reproduction process. Together, fragmentation and regeneration is a complete process of asexual mode of reproduction because first the entire body will divide into pieces, that is fragmentation, and then each fragment will regrow into the entire organism, that is regenerate. So that is regeneration. But regeneration will give rise to new individual only when fragmentation is involved in the beginning. But if regeneration includes only regeneration of a lost body part, then that is not a mode of reproduction. I hope I could make the idea clear. So basically, fragmentation means division of the body into fragments. Just plain division of the body into pieces or fragments. Nothing special. And regeneration means development of the lost body part or fragment. Regeneration of the lost body part or the body fragment. Which fragment? The fragment which was a part of the parent body. So therefore, just imagine if a lizard loses its tail and the tail is regenerated. So there, that means only the tail is getting regenerated, but it is not giving rise to any new organism. So it cannot be a process of reproduction according to the criterion of reproduction. But on the other hand, had it been so that the entire lizard body has been divided into fragments, so from one lizard body we are getting many lizards. So the number of lizards is increasing. From one parent lizard, we are getting 2 to 3 or 4 lizards from the fragments of the body. Then it would have been the process of asexual mode of reproduction, which is common in some organisms such as Planidia. So that is the basic idea we need to have. Now we watch the video and know about this process in detail.
Which are the two types of asexual reproduction you just learned? Fission and budding, correct? We will study another interesting mode of asexual reproduction. Do you know what will happen to a Spinogyra in case its body breaks up into several pieces? Yes, right. The body of the Spinogyra can break into pieces. Does it happen? Basically, mode of reproduction. The simpler multicellular organisms are the more complex ones. I want you to tell me which organisms have a distinct reproductive system. Only the complex multicellular organisms have a distinct reproductive system. Do you think that the complex multicellular organisms need to reproduce with the help of fragmentation then? They don't need to do so, as they are equipped with organs for reproduction. The simpler multicellular organisms, on the other hand, do not have a reproductive system. Therefore, they use their body fragments to reproduce. Hold on a minute. How does a tiny piece of a fragment of the body grow into complete organism? The answer is by cell division and cell multiplication. When a part of the body of an organism separates from the parent body, the cells in it multiply with the help of cell division. Thus, the cells grow in number and it finally grows into a new organism. Why can't complex organisms reproduce with the help of fragmentation? If you have a look at this character, it doesn't really have distinct body parts. The body being simple has only one type of cell. However, in complex multicellular organisms, for example the whale, the body needs specialized organs. Each organ is made up of different types of cells. So let's say this organ of the body is separated and turned into a new whale. No, it can't turn into a new whale because it needs the other types of cells too. The cells in this organ may not be able to produce the cells of the other body parts. And that is why simple cell division and multiplication would not have helped these complex organisms. However, similar to this, there is another method of cell division which takes place in complex organisms. You know what it is called? Regeneration. And what do you think is the meaning of this term? Have a look at the word. Regenerate are the two parts here. In this process, organisms like lizards and starfish regenerate their lost body parts. You heard me right. Regenerate their lost body parts. Is that pretty amazing? If the starfish loses a limb, it can regenerate a limb in a few months' time. Even the tail of the lizard can be grown back to its normal size. The regenerated body part is as good as a new one. In both these cases, cells multiply by division and enable organisms to regenerate their lost body parts. However, it is important to remember that regeneration is not reproduction. Regeneration only helps give back a lost body part, won't give birth to a completely new organism. We will look at a few more methods of asexual reproduction in upcoming videos.
Now we will look into a simulation to understand this idea of regeneration. So this is the organism called planaria, which undergoes the process of regeneration in order to reproduce. So see, if the planaria is cut into two, each part or fragment will regrow into the rest of the body. So from one planaria here, as per this simulation, we are getting two planaria. So the number of organisms is getting increased, and that is how we can say that one organism is reproducing to increase its own kind. Now, apart from all these methods, we also have another method which is called multiple fission. Now, multiple fission is actually carried out by organisms such as the plasmodium, the malarial protozoa. So, what happens that during unfavorable conditions, when they are unable to reproduce, so they form the cyst. Cyst means a hard spherical cover which can resist or withstand unfavorable conditions, and they remain within that shield for many months until that unfavorable condition that wears out. And then within that cyst only they keep on dividing. After the cyst burst open during favorable condition, then multiple plasmodium come out at a time. So from one organism that undergoes multiple cell division, within the cyst many organisms are formed. That is the idea of multiple fission. So therefore multiple fission has got two benefits. Number one, it is formed within the cyst. The cyst structure helps to withstand the unfavorable condition and helps these creatures to survive and in the hostile environment. And the second advantage is that from one organism they can actually replicate many organisms through this process of reproduction, because the single organism keeps on dividing multiple times within the cyst. Finally, we have come to the story of Dolly. Who is Dolly? Dolly the clone means the sheep, the first sheep which was cloned. What is a clone? I have already explained while telling you about the process of asexual reproduction, that when there is no genetic change of the offspring with the parent, means the genetic makeup of the and all the other traits are exactly the same, then we call it the clone. So cloning is the production of an exact copy of a cell or any other living part or a complete organism also, the entire living organism. Cloning of an animal was successfully performed first time by Ian Wilmot and his colleagues at the Roslin Institute in Edinburgh, means in Scotland, UK. They successfully cloned a sheep called Dolly, who was born on 5th July 1996 and was the first mammal to be cloned. So you can see over here that the Dolly, which is this one, this was the first sheep to be cloned. Now, the sheep was actually the product of sexual reproduction, and the parents were these, the Finn Dorset sheep and the Scottish Blackfish Ewe. So this was the mother and this was the father, and the product of sexual reproduction from both this organism was Dolly. And now Dolly was cloned, means another sheep was made who was the exact copy of this sheep called Dolly. So this was actually done successfully, and which tells us that we can take help of this process in order to clone any body part also, that we can actually take advantage for the medical purpose specifically, that if for any reason any body part is amputated or that body part needs or has undergone gangrene and has to be cut out, so we can actually, or any organ is damaged, so therefore we can actually regenerate that body part and utilize it in order to save precious life. So that was the idea of cloning of a sheep, and cloning idea has come from the idea of asexual reproduction only. The scientists have observed that how the progenies of the progenies which were the outcome of asexual mode of reproduction, when the clones were of their parents. So they have applied the similar technique, that they have actually applied the enzymes so that the DNA of this sheep could be replicated, and then they have also taken care that the cells could actually multiply multiple times, and finally the entire ship could be formed from the cloning process. So that is cloning that helps us to, to save life and survive adverse conditions. So this is all from this chapter. I hope I could give you a good insight and a better idea about all the methods of reproduction which is involved mainly in case of animals. So right from the beginning we had started with the discussing the reproductive systems of human beings, then we have understood the processes of fertilization, implantation, and then we have gone to understand the metamorphosis process, that is change in the physical form right from the birth to the adult life of animals, such as in case of the butterfly or the frog. And then today we have discussed about sexual modes of reproduction. So I hope that you would now be able to go through this chapter without any doubt, and still if you have any doubt, do connect with Fun Scholar Academy and we'll definitely try our best to help you out. Thank you so much. I will sign off for today and I will again see you soon with another chapter. Till then, take care. Thank you. Bye bye.